Please give a warm reception to your 2014 Outstanding Disabled Veteran of the Year, Roger Ferland. If you would permit me to read the citation, DAV is honored to recognize your extraordinary commitment to veterans, your local community, and the nation. From the earliest stages of your rehabilitation following your injuries during combat actions in Vietnam, your optimism and strength of character have provided inspiration to your fellow injured and ill veterans and their families. Through tireless dedication to meeting goals in your personal and professional life, you set an exceptional example for others to follow. You are selflessly committed to providing cost-free legal assistance to your fellow veterans in Arizona and have helped guide statewide policy to ensure that they are neither forgotten nor abandoned after leaving military service. Despite physical challenges, you continue to live your life fully and put the needs of other veterans first. Your humble spirit and positive attitude are a living testament to DAV's mission of empowering veterans to lead high-quality lives with respect and dignity. On behalf of those who bear the scars of war, thank you for your leadership, integrity, and ongoing commitment to serving your fellow veterans.
Good morning to all of you, Mr. Johnston, Mr. Burgess, Mr. Marzalak, and the other distinguished officers, members, and guests of the DAV. You pay me an honor with this award, for which I am very grateful, although unsure whether it's deserved. Thank you. I will say one thing, this roster makes me feel very short, but anyway. Last month I visited the Fort Rosecrans National Cemetery in San Diego with my friend Susan. Like Arlington and other national cemeteries, it is a very special place. As Lincoln said in referring to the Gettysburg battlefield, it is hallowed ground. And I am sure that the memorial that Lois described will also be that same hallowed ground. Because of its location on hills and cliffs overlooking the Pacific Ocean, it has spectacular views of San Diego, and I would advise anybody, the audience, when you're in San Diego, to visit this incredible place. It has spectacular views of San Diego and the Navy and Marine bases that call San Diego home. Over 100,000 veterans, beginning with veterans from before the Spanish-American War, are buried there. You feel an overwhelming reverence, peace, and most of all, gratitude for who they are and what they did. As I said when I'm told of this award, those of us that are survivors have an obligation to those whose time on earth has passed to take the legacy they have left us and build on it. We owe it to them as we owe it to each other to make this a better world for our families, our communities, our country, and most of all of you fellow veterans. That is a commitment that I have made and that I have tried to fulfill with the actions you've heard in the film a few seconds ago. It's also a commitment that I hope each of us will make to each other today and to this great organization that is the DAV, and that we all serve and that has accomplished so much for the veteran community. Now, as any good lawyer does, I will have a disclaimer. I'm about to make some statements that have not been endorsed by the DAV, by anybody up here, by many of you perhaps, but because Teddy Roosevelt calls the sort of thing I'm doing here a bully pulpit, I'm going to use that pulpit to get some points across that I think are relevant to the DAV and this award. The first are two questions. First question is, why is our leadership in this country not stronger? I'm not asking this as an attack on the President or the Congress with its lofty 15% approval rating. The problem of deficient leadership applies to institutions that are governmental, religious, and private across the board. However, the state of the leadership in this country makes no sense. Our leaders should be the best educated, the most mentally sophisticated, with the most resources available to them physically and intellectually in our history. Yet all of these advantages, it would seem, are being squandered. Indeed, the integration into leadership of the over 50% of our population that is female and has heretofore not had access to that leadership has not made things better the way they should be with that new folks coming in. Problems are still not being solved, and the right decisions are not necessarily being made. As you know from reading the newspaper, our decision makers are in constant gridlock, with problems ignored or fought over but not resolved. Many of you have read the biography or seen the television program about the life of our second president, John Adams. He lived in a time when the country was brand new and barely surviving. Communication was measured in days or weeks. There were no computers to provide the analysis and data for well-informed decision-making that we have now. In those days, there were huge divisions in the country that were in many ways much more fundamental than what we have now. Yet those same individuals with this same division produced not gridlock, but the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and a basic structure of government that exists to this day and that is the envy of the world. How could they do it and we don't seem to be able to? That is a question I would ask you. Part of the answer may be to assist and strengthen the good guys like the DAV that are providing the right kind of leadership to our country. We can assist in achievement of this mission by providing such organizations with the resources, commitment, and political support to make an even greater difference. That leads me to my second question and a proposal. There are structural changes that we should make to have an improved quality of leadership. What should they be? Well, we could spend the next 100 conventions talking about that. My purpose today, however, is much more modest. I would ask you to consider the benefits to improve leadership of adopting a 2-year requirement for mandatory public service for all Americans after high school but before college and joining the workforce. I hope that means support and not amusement, but in any case. The obligation could be met by military service, but also by service in the Peace Corps, Teach for America, going on a Mormon mission, feeding the poor, protecting the environment, and most of all, working for the DAV, and hundreds of other pursuits that could mean payback to this country for the freedom and prosperity that we enjoy as Americans. John Kennedy, in his inaugural address, spoke of asking not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. In recent years, that sentiment has apparently been reversed. Congress and the federal courts have created dozens of new legal rights that we automatically enjoy merely because we are born as Americans, but with no consequent obligation as the price of exercising these rights. We as veterans know, and it was said earlier today, that freedom is not free. Mandatory public service can at least begin compensating our forebears who paid the cost of our freedom. It will also help solve the leadership crisis about which I have complained. We who served in the military understand leadership because its existence is inherent in how we achieve our mission. Mandatory public service will create the structure for leadership to be learned and exhibited in dozens of contexts. What I am proposing is certainly not a panacea, but it is a start in an area where nothing is being done, and it must be done. If this country is to survive, we need to take action, and what I am proposing is at least a modest start. Thank you for your time.